Hello, this is Michael Kramer of Ma Capital. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, and it's around 5 p.m. New York time. So there's going to be a lot of economic data coming out between Wednesday, April 1st, and Friday, April 3rd. Just as a reminder, U.S. markets are closed on Friday, April 3rd, despite the job report coming out that morning. First of all, on Wednesday, April 1st, we'll be getting the ADP National Employment Report. Analysts are looking for 40,000 jobs who have been created in March, down from 63,000. We're going to be getting the February retail sales. We're looking for 0.5% month over month, up from a negative 0.2% in January. Then at 10 a.m. Eastern, we'll be getting the ISM Manufacturing Index for the month of March. We're looking for 52.5, up from 52.4. Prices paid is probably one that you really want to pay close attention to, only given the surge in oil prices. That's expected to come in at 73, up from 70.5 in February. Then on Thursday, we'll be getting the Challenger layoffs, which is something the market's been paying a little bit more attention to. And then, of course, on Friday, April 3rd, we'll be getting the non-farm payroll report. We're looking for 60,000 jobs to have been created, up from a decline of 92,000 in the month of February. Private payrolls expected to rise by 70,000, up from a decline of 86,000 in February. Unemployment rate expected to remain unchanged at 4.4%. Average hourly earnings expected to decline to 0.3% from 0.4% month over month, and rise by 3.7% year over year, down from 3.8%. And so this is going to round out, like I said, a very busy week, and it's going to be more complex only because U.S. markets and a lot of markets globally, even in the U.K., are closed on Friday for the Good Friday holiday and the Easter weekend. So basically, when we kind of think about what all this data means, especially during a period where the markets are closed, it probably means that volatility is going to be slightly more elevated than usual. And you're even starting to see that really play out in FX too, because obviously there's not only the economic data, but there's also, of course, everything going on in the oil markets and everything going on in the Middle East. So today we saw the euro strengthen rather materially versus the dollar, rising by about 81 basis points. What's the key here, though, is that if you look at the chart, it looked like there was a broadening megaphone pattern, maybe as part of a flag. If you look at the chart, we did break that uptrend, the lower end of the flag pattern, which really would have suggested normally that that we would have seen the euro continue to go down. But today we obviously saw a very strong day. But if you notice, the euro only rose back to the trend line, and it only rose back to about the 10-day exponential moving average. So it's kind of too early at this point to say anything other than the fact this could be a retest of the breakdown. And obviously where the euro kind of goes over the next day or two is likely to determine its ultimate trend. Obviously, if it fails here, we're looking for the euro to undertake 114. If the euro is able to stay strong, we're looking for it to rally above 115.70. When we look at the British pound, also very similar pattern. You can see the British pound broke below support. It did strengthen versus the dollar today, but it was much weaker than what we saw in the euro. I think it's a much clearer picture. The pound looks fairly weak. It is sitting at resistance. It is sitting right now at support around 132. A break of this level opens up the pathway to around 130.5. When we look at the Japanese yen, kind of looking for here is whether or not the yen is going to continue that move higher. Right now, I would say we're slightly below the 10-day exponential moving average, but we're still above the 20, and there is still a little bit of an uptrend in the yen if you draw it out versus the lows here. So unless we break the 20-day exponential moving average around 158.5, I think that the trend in the yen is going to be higher and weaker, and we're likely to take out these highs around 160. Obviously, if we were to break support below 158.5, we're looking at moving down towards 157.5, and then that would really open the pathway to even stronger levels for the yen. When we look at oil prices, I think, again, the main key here is what we've been focusing on, which is The 10-day exponential moving average and the upper Bollinger Band continue to be serving as a line of support and resistance. I think what also is key here is notice that the 20-day exponential moving average has also held as support. So right now, I think there's basically two very strong levels of support in the market for oil prices. One that sits around 97 on Brent, and then the next one that lives around 102 on Brent. And so until we take out the lower level at 97, I think oil is probably going to continue to consolidate sideways, at least for a few more sessions. And then of course, there's the possibility that we could see it run all the way up towards the 115 area again, as long as we stay above that 10-day exponential. There's a lot of noise and a lot of big movements, so it's very difficult to track, and that's why I think using those two moving averages can be really helpful at this point. Gold prices were able to rally today by about 3.5%. So I think the key here is notice that gold is above the 10-day exponential. Notice that gold is below the 20-day exponential. Notice that gold also failed at 46.70, which is a level of resistance from what had been a prior level of support. So as long as gold stays below 46.70, I think the trend lower remains. I mean, obviously, if gold breaks out above 46.70, I think there's probably a pretty good chance that gold's going to head right back towards the 49.60 to 5,000 region. There's just not a lot of resistance in between. When we swing over and look at the DAX, this is also a pretty dismal picture. Again, if you kind of notice, we're seeing a lot of the same characteristics in the marketplace right now. Got up to the 10-day exponential moving average today, March 31st, but that's where it failed. Again, I think this is pretty much your line of demarcation in terms of where these indexes are likely heading. I mean, if you want to try to maybe play this out a little bit, you can start making a case that perhaps there's a little bit of a downward triangle forming in the DAX, and perhaps you could even maybe claim it as a pennant. If this is a pennant, then the next leg lower in the DAX is likely to be lower and a break below 22,250. When we look at the FTSE, very similar sort of look right now. When you look at it from this perspective, above the 10-day exponential, failed at the 20, failed at the trend line, failed at support at 10,230. So right now, this is a big area of resistance for the FTSE. If you can clear this area of resistance, which looks like a pretty big challenge at this point, we could be talking about moving back towards 10,400. If you take a look at the FTSE on an hourly chart, you can see and start making a case that also, like the DAX, perhaps there is a flag pattern also forming here. If that is the case, then again, the next major move in the FTSE would be lower. When we swing over to U.S. markets, again, we saw the U.S. market rally pretty strongly today, rising by about 3.5% on the NASDAQ. It looked like it had a lot to do with end-of-month rebalancing and just some other internal things going on from a mechanical sense. But when we look at it from this perspective, again, notice we're seeing the NASDAQ failing today at the 10-day exponential moving average. Also sitting below support at 23,870, which aligns with the lows that we were seeing back in November. So this seems to be a pretty natural place to have a resistance area. If we measure the retracement, and if you start it from this point in time here where we started to really see the breakdown, NASDAQ basically got right to the 38.2% retracement level. And again, this is a strong area of resistance for the NASDAQ, so it's going to probably take a lot for it to break out. You don't really have that same clear pattern that you have in the DAX and the FTSE, but again, there's a little bit of a semblance here of that same pennant pattern forming, and we're going to want to watch that, because if this is the case, then we could easily start to make another move down. Doesn't have to happen right away tomorrow, but it could happen over the next couple of days, something to keep an eye on. When you look at the S&P, also it too has a similar sort of pennant look to it, very similar to what we're seeing in the NASDAQ and very similar to what we're seeing in the DAX and the FTSE. Again, negative pattern. If we kind of just take this out and look at it on a daily chart, you can see we closed just at the 10-day exponential moving average, closed at around 65 closed right around 65.28. Why is this level important? This was a previous support level. It also was the low from November, and it was a previous level of resistance going back to September of 25. So again, a pretty strong level of resistance that we're at right now. Notice every time we've gotten to the 10-day exponential moving average, there have been even a few occasions where we got above it and then we ended up closing back below it the following day. So something important to keep an eye on as we continue to move forward. And finally, when we finish with the Dow rose by 2.5%. It actually looks like, from a technical perspective, one of the stronger moves, only because you clearly close above the 10-day exponential. There's really nothing to challenge that idea. And you even could say that perhaps with the next area of resistance, probably around 46,670 at the 20-day exponential moving average. I don't really see very much in terms of support and resistance from a historical standpoint here. It looks like probably if you go back in time, you can find some resistance area slightly above where we are right now, also coinciding with the 20-day exponential moving average. So it is possible there might be a little bit more room for the Dow to rise. But again, the trends still look fairly bearish at this point. We're not really seeing very much. And if you can figure out which way the price of oil is going, it will give you a big leg up in terms of where the equity markets and everything else are going to fall into place. Anyway, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.